guys, Truly here, and welcome back to my Sims 4 Let's Play Revenge of the Nerds. Today we're taking a look at the speed build of the Nerd Squad's new home, as well as the backstory I have created for each one of these characters. This will help us get acquainted with our heroes and give the Let's Play some depth when we get into live mode. The house is being built from the ground up to look like a starter home that might come with the game. So this is kind of under the pretense that each starter home that comes furnished basically comes with the amount of furniture that each family can afford. That actually ended up to be a pretty accurate estimation point because when I was building the house, the $40,000 I gave them turned out to basically be just enough. So each one of the characters brought $10,000 to the table, and I'm glad that that actually was enough. So now we're just looking at the building of the house, the main room, and the sort of hallway area that I think will eventually be the downstairs bathroom and the stairwell area. So I actually really like the way that this house turned out. I really like that it's in Oasis Springs, for one, because that sort of plays into kind of what the characters are about. Like, they're nerds. One of them is a scientist, and the other one very well may become a scientist or an astronaut or something like that. And Oasis Springs has this history in The Sims of being like a place where aliens crash landed and things like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff to explore with science and with aliens and with space and with collecting and stuff like that in Oasis Springs. So I think that makes it the perfect area for our nerds to live, and that's why I chose it. So I think that's going to be really fun. I think that's going to be a really fun aspect of the game. It's going to add a lot of different sort of levels to what they try to achieve in those areas, science and stuff like that. So I'm really excited about it. I decided to make it 3 floors, which I think is a good size for 4 people. I guess not a lot of houses come with 3 floors, at least not in Canada where I am. Most of the time it's 2 floors unless they're pretty wealthy. But since this house is actually pretty small, in my opinion, I thought 3 floors would work well. I decided to go vertical instead of kind of expanding outwards on the lot, because I think the backyard will come in handy for maybe making a lab, maybe building a rocket ship, things like that. So I wanted to keep enough space on the lot to use the outdoors for different activities and stuff like that. So I was having a little bit of trouble figuring out what to do with the roof at the beginning, but I decided to make these really pointed arched triangular roofs because I thought that looked kind of cool. And then I put on these weird short walls, which I actually ended up really not liking. So I take those away in a minute, and had a little trouble there. So I think I choose more like a fence. Yeah, I choose like a white fence. It's also a lot cheaper, the white fence. Those little short stubby walls are actually really expensive for whatever reason, even though, well, maybe they're high quality materials. That's probably the reason. But I think I choose just a normal, cheap white fence because I realized I was actually on a budget and I wasn't building like I normally am, where I have just all the money in the world to go ahead and build, or, no money isn't an issue. You're just free building. But this wasn't free building. So I kind of realized I needed to tone it down a bit and keep some money for furnishing and stuff like that. I actually like the little balcony areas, and I wanted to put plants or something like that up there, but I didn't end up having enough money, so I'll probably end up doing that later. A lot of the landscaping is going to have to come later when they're earning money and they can afford to landscape a bit, because I could definitely not afford that with just the $40,000. There I go taking them away. I'm like, oh gosh, look at all that money coming back into my pocket. That actually affected it a lot. Just taking away that one type of fencing really increased the rest of the budget. So lesson learned. So let's get into a little bit of the backstory while we're building here. First, let's start with our main character, and that's Mason George. And his family is currently deceased. He didn't have any brothers or sisters. He doesn't really have any aunts or uncles to speak of. So his family basically is just him. And he's a small town kid who grew up with his parents in a middle class home. And in his town, he was always surrounded by people he knew. And this whole small town was a bit like family. But when his parents passed away, he realized he'd never seen anything outside of the 4 blocks of small town that surrounded his childhood home. So he decided to take the money his parents left him and travel to a new town where he could pursue big dreams and make a name for himself. The problem was he didn't want to leave alone. So it's a big world out there, and it scared him a little, and he decided to take some friends of his that he had made in high school and ask them to join him in leaving for a new place, which is Oasis Springs, once they graduated. So thusly, the Nerd Squad was born, and with $10,000 in his pocket and nothing much but the clothes on his back, he set out for his new life. And his goals are to start and maintain the best club in town, become a computer whiz, become a professional gamer. He also wants to start a hacking ring and become mega rich. And his friends are what are most important to him, because they're his family now, and he'd do anything for any one of them. So that's going to be a big part of the story, is him supporting his friends and being there for them and kind of treating them like his family. And so he loves computers, gaming, clubs, being active. And my big question kind of with him right now is, will he ever start a family of his own? Will he ever, kind of expand out past his friends, or will his friends always be his whole life? When he's an adult, what is he going to do? So that's kind of where I'm at with Mason. And I think he's a really cool character. I'm really excited to see where he ends up. And I think he's going to be a good main character, because he kind of ties the whole group together. So that kind of makes it make a little bit more sense and gives the situation a little more depth. And just looking at the build here now, I was having a lot of trouble figuring out what colors I wanted to do for the exterior. And I couldn't really decide if I wanted to just do like plain wood all over, because I went with the light wood in the middle, you can see. I went with some of the stone and whatnot. And I was having a tough time deciding. I couldn't figure it out. And I eventually decided to go with this like green paneling that I think you get in Spa Day. Or did that come with the base game? I'm not sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No. I don't remember. But I went with this like green paneling. And I really like it, actually. I've never used it for anything like this before. I've never used it like on the exterior before. Oh yeah, that's just base game. But yeah, I've never used it on exterior before, but I actually really like it. I think it looks kind of good. I think it's kind of modern. I think it gives the house something extra. And I think it shows that, they're not exactly like everybody else, particularly. They all are, like a little bit unique in some way. And so I think that their house should distinguish them from other people because of that, because they built it themselves. Like, they didn't buy it from a real estate agent or whatever Sims do. Go online and look it up. they built it from the ground up, and they had a hand in every aspect of it. So I think that really makes a difference. And we're probably going to do a lot of renovating on this house. Like, it is what it is right now because that's what they could afford. But there's going to be a lot of renovating. We may put in like a big basement area. There may be like a lab and other things like that, like I mentioned before. So, this isn't it. You'll see when I put in like all the like the furnishings, that there's really nothing in there. Like, it really does look like a starter home, and that was intentional. And it was also because of how much money we had spent building a bigger house. So I made that conscious decision to go with like the bigger home over the expensive furnishings, because I feel like they really do need the space. So yeah, that was what I decided. Moving on with the backstory. So we'll go next to our resident female, Fern Jacobs. And she actually has a mother, a father, and a sister who do not live in Oasis Springs. I won't say right now too much about them, but they'll come up again surely in the Let's Play at some point, I can imagine. So Fern was always the girl who hung out with guys, did what the boys did, never thought much about romance. She's smart, witty, she loves to party, she loves playing video games and discovering the secrets of the universe. And when Mason asked her to join him on his trip to Oasis Springs to chase his dreams, she knew it was her chance to get out of the tiny town where she was also born and achieve something. Her dream is to become a scientist, to go to space, to discover everything she can about the universe and those that live inside of it. So Oasis Springs is actually perfect for her. And, her parents are both wonderful artists who always supported everything that she wanted to do, everything that she wanted to learn. They guided her to embrace who she was, to explore whatever she could, and they never made her feel like she needed to have a husband or a boyfriend to complete her. They encouraged her to know that she could do anything she wanted on her own and do anything a boy could do, And so when they heard that she wanted to move to Oasis Springs, they were like, yes, do it, go, achieve your goals. So, they gave her some money and they sent her on her way. And so that's why she ended up here with her best friends. And I'll mention a bit about her sister. She's more like the parent. She's more creative, passionate about beauty. Fern is more interested in science and, systems and things like that. So that's more her thing, science and gaming and systems. She's not really that interested in beautification that much, but she does like to stand out. So thus the green hair. She adores aliens, science, computers, sci-fi novels, especially dancing, video games, and her friends. And, her main goal is really just to enjoy life and have the best possible scientific career and gain high-level skills. So my main question with her is kind of, can she find true love? Can she find someone who holds her attention, who is so unbelievably attractive and intelligent that she can't look away? She can't decide, I'm going to focus on this other thing, because she can't stop thinking about them. Will that ever happen? We don't know, but we will know eventually. So here we are, looking at sort of what I'm doing with the flooring on the outside of the house, and I'm not too sure about it. I'm not really sure if I like that or not. I might change it. I actually might change the bedrooms as well when I'm done. I kind of realized when I went back through that, the bedrooms, like, there's one that looks pretty masculine and the rest of them look pretty feminine. So I didn't think that was necessarily fair to the guys. Like, that might not be what they would have chosen. And so I'm probably going to change that. But I won't worry about it for now. And we're kind of just lighting up in there, getting ready to not lighting up, but we're lighting up the rooms with ceiling lights so that we can start building the rooms. And this room, this bedroom, that turquoise room, I love that room. I would totally live in that room, and that's probably why I made it, because it's just so cool and it's so my style. And I actually, even though it's pretty feminine, yeah, it's pretty feminine, I actually think that our resident comedian would totally live in there. He'd be like, yeah, it's a little girly, but who cares? It's totally awesome. So I think that's kind of what Zach is like. Speaking of which, the next guy we're going to talk about is actually not Zach. It's Jordan Dupree. And he is a son from a single mother home. And his dad actually died in a kitchen fire when he was still a child. So it was just him and his mom for most of his life. And he never really learned how to socialize very well, because when his father died, he kind of dove into his collecting to sort of keep himself happy and keep himself occupied, not really thinking about the loss of his father and how much that really affected him. And ever since then, he's been working on collecting as much as he can. And his life goal is to become a curator. So when Mason asked him to move away to Oasis Springs, Jordan was really skeptical, because, you know, he kind of just wanted to stay in his room and keep collecting and being with his mom. You know, it's all he's ever really cared about. But his mother actually convinced him it would be good to get out and explore the world, especially in Oasis Springs, which is a place where you can collect so much rare stuff. So she wanted to see him spread his wings, and she asked Mason to watch over him and make sure he was encouraged to step out of the comfort of his bedroom and his collection and start making friends and maybe looking for love and, you know, kind of involving himself with something outside of his bedroom. So, you know, Mason was like, of course I'm going to do that. Of course I would do that for Jordan. I would do anything for Jordan. So he's going to take Jordan with him, and he's going to watch over him, and he's going to kind of be a little bit big brothery to him and give him pep talks when he's not feeling so good and stuff like that. So Jordan loves computers, science, collecting, reading, and fishing. And really being a curator is all he cares about that much. But I think he'll probably get into gardening. You know, I think he also would really love gardening. And I think that'll be his like main kind of source of income, probably, is gardening. So, because he doesn't have to go out to work to garden, right? So I think my main question with him is like, can he become a better friend? Can he become more outgoing? Can he cultivate more social relationships? Maybe get a job that takes him out into the world, you know, something like that. So I'm pretty interested to see actually where things go with Jordan. He's a pretty interesting character. So I'm looking at the building again right now, and I'm just kind of sort of trying to figure out what I want to do with the kitchen area. There's these big windows in there, and, you know, I really love big windows. I really love natural light. A lot of my builds have big giant windows. That's why they come off looking so modern all the time, because I really love big giant windows. And, you know, but I really hate it when you have to push like counters and stuff like that up against the windows to try and get a nice looking kitchen. I don't think it looks realistic. I've never seen a home that had big giant windows where the kitchen counters were pushed right up against them. I don't think that looks real. But I kind of ended up doing it anyways, just because I wanted to be able to fit everybody in. So I want them to be able to eat breakfast together. I want them to be able to socialize in the morning, to kind of have this dynamic, like they all get up and they all socialize with each other, and they all kind of, you know, give each other confidence and happiness, and then they go about their day. And, you know, they're all about spending time together. Kind of like it's a scenario kind of like Friends, where, you know, your friends are really what's most important to you and you spend all your time together. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to build. So I want them all to be, I want every room in the home, you know, besides maybe the bedrooms, to be conducive to that kind of lifestyle. So I did it, even though it kind of annoys me. I pushed the counters up against the window because I used like an end cap and it didn't like push right up against the window. So I thought maybe it would be okay. Like, we can change it later, maybe get a table or something like that instead. But I like when you have the island, you have more cooking space. I like that. So just trying to figure out the lighting and everything. Like, I didn't spend very much money on any of the furnishings, really. You know, I didn't have that much money left at this point, and I was just trying to get the whole house filled up with essentials so that we wouldn't be missing anything right at the beginning. Even though basically the first thing, you know, they're going to want to do is get jobs. You know, they're going to want to at least buy up the essentials so they don't have to live in squalor while they're trying to make money from their new jobs. So there we go. Last on the list actually to talk about is our resident comedian, as I said before, Zach Yates. So Zach comes from a large family. He has a mother, a father, and 3 brothers, which meant very little money and resources to go around while he was growing up. In a family of 6, he was the middle child. So in order to make sure he wasn't ignored, Zach cultivated his social and comedy skills so he could stand out. He was the class clown from the moment he started school. And when he and Mason met in elementary, they became best friends. Now they're BFFs for life. Best friends forever for life. That's right. And so naturally, when Mason decided to move over to Oasis Springs, Zach was the first one to sort of hop on board and join him. You know, he was like, man, this is a huge adventure. You know, I know they have a comedy club out there. I know that, you know, there's lots of people out there. There's lots of rich people out there. There's lots of people to meet. And the night scene is good. So he decided he was going to go. And of course, he wanted to be with his best friend. There was nothing really for any of them in that small town because they all have dreams that are bigger than that. And that's why they came here, to pursue these big, huge dreams that they've all always had. And together, they're strong enough and confident enough to achieve that. So that's really what this is all about, is really that friendship and love can embolden you, to become the best that you can be, you know, become your greatest version. So that's kind of what this is about. And so Zach, he loves video games. He loves comedy. He loves writing and partying and meeting ladies. He loves watching comedy on TV. He loves movies. And his goal is to become a famous comedian and also write comedy books. You know, write books that are hilarious and make money from making people laugh, because that's what he loves to do. And that's how he goes about feeling fulfilled. So my sort of main question with him at this point, at least, is how will his personal relationships fare? You know, how will he be able to cultivate really real, meaningful relationships, even though comedy is really all that he knows how to do? You know, will he be able to relate to people, or will everything just be a joke? It's hard to say. So we'll have to find out. I'm doing the bedrooms now, as you can see. So this blue one in the corner here, that's the only one that really came out looking like a guy's bedroom. Which I guess is fine for now. You know, we can just change everything. They're going to redecorate everything eventually anyways, so it doesn't really matter that much. But the upstairs bedroom, I think, like, you'll see it when the screenshots come up. the upstairs green bedroom is my favorite. So I'm really excited about that. I decided to give them a little like sitting and talking area up on the balcony there. You can kind of see which chair is going to be for who. Like the crazy wolf chair is definitely going to be for Zach, and the green chair is for Mason. The orange chair is for Jordan, and obviously the butterfly chair is for Fern. So I liked that. And so I really like all the bedrooms, but yeah, they are a little girly. I might deal with that, as I've said a million times. So just saving now and then continuing on. I paused there for a second. I was obviously thinking about something, and then I was like, did I edit this part? Like, is there something I needed to edit out here? And then it started back up again. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep talking. So I'm trying to create, like you can see here in the corner, I'm trying to create like a sort of computer area for all of them. Creating it down in this area, like on the first floor, didn't really work out very well in the end. You can see that I was kind of trying something with counters. It ended up not really working because those windows were there, and that was really bugging me. And it just didn't look right. Like the whole time I was doing it, it didn't look right. It didn't really feel right. So eventually I decided to change it. And I think I made the right decision because, I mean, you can see like right in front of you, right in front of your face right now, like this looks terrible. Like this is not, it doesn't even make any sense. I don't know why I was trying to pull it off, but I guess I was kind of going somewhere with the idea, and I needed to figure it out. So here I am deciding that it looks stupid and kind of changing my mind about where I'm going to put it and what I'm going to do. So I'm thinking about it. I'm definitely like struggling at this point to figure out what I'm going to do. And then I think like eventually I decide to put it on the second floor. Yeah, I was like, what's a good choice? Oh no, I put it on the third floor. Which I think is a good decision because there's room right next to those windows. It doesn't look as weird because the windows are full length. I think for some reason that doesn't look as strange. And yeah. So what I actually end up doing is like making this little sort of, I guess it looks like it could be a storagey kind of area. Yeah, and I kind of put in the counters, and then I just put chairs in front of it. And kind of made it into a community desk area, basically, which I think is a really good idea. I think that if they're going to have a hacking ring, if they're going to be on the computer together a lot, that if their computers are all in one room, then they can talk to each other. They can kind of have this like feeling, it kind of has this feeling like they really are in a hacking ring. Like they're working together towards this communal cause of making money with their computer skills. And so then I put in like these fancy computers, and I sort of decided that I didn't really think that was a good idea. There wasn't enough money left over after that for anything else, really. Like it took me down to $4,500 and something, so I'm not really into it. I just gave them the lowest quality computers that I could get, and that weren't tablets, and I put those in because I wanted to give them, some other skill building stuff, especially logic skill building stuff, which can be a little bit pricey, like the observatory. I put the observatory in the backyard, and that's like $5,000, that observatory, I'm pretty sure. Or no, is that the rocket ship? It's pricey. It's not cheap. And so yeah, I put in this like chessboard. And then I looked at my funds and I was like, I think I made a mistake. Oh yeah, it's $1,500, which, I mean, I guess that's not that expensive, but it's pretty pricey if you're on a budget, and we are on a budget, so I had to go with these. And I made them all, I made most of them different colors. I think I put 2 black ones in, and the rest of them are different, because I thought that made more sense. They weren't all going to buy new computers. They're probably bringing the computers they already had. So I figure they don't all have the same computer. They're not all going to be the same color. So that made some sense to me. And then I put in a place to start doing gardening, because I think Jordan should garden. I put in a mixing station, because I think our girl Fern is probably going to be a drinking kind of lady, a juice and nectar drinking kind of lady, and probably Zach as well. He's a party guy too. So, and they're probably going to want to have parties. So that makes sense. And yeah, I put in the card table because that made sense too. They play games together. That's their thing. So I put in somewhere where they could socialize and play a game. And then I put in the observatory. Oh, the phone is ringing. Who calls at 8 o'clock at night? That's so rude. I'm not going to answer because I don't want to encourage people to call at 8 o'clock at night. So now we're getting into the screenshots, and so you can see the kitchen there. It looks really great. Everything I think looks really great. And that's actually all I've got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me this episode. I really enjoyed hanging out with you. I hope we can play some games again soon. And enjoy the screenshots of our Nerd Squad's new home. That's the green bedroom I love. So great. Okay. Thanks, you guys. Bye for now.